serves as the chaplain of the Raleigh Graduate Chapter and the Southeast Regional Director of Swing by Swing Social Fellowship Incorporated. Professionally, she is the CEO of Russel-Meadows Consultants, a provider agency serving children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities with a specialized focus on autism services. In ministry, Reverend Russel-Meadows serves as an associate pastor at Keep It Real Ministry and is chaplain for the Virginia State University Alumni Theatrical Ensemble. Affectionately known as John Johns, Dukes and Soraya's Mimi, and probably known in the land of swing as Reverend Tam. She walks in purpose, leadership, and service. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our sister Bettie Murchison and Reverend Tammy Russel-Meadows.
Hey, welcome, sisters.
Yeah.
Welcome to the broadcast. Okay, trying to get this up on Facebook Live. It doesn't seem to be cooperating with us tonight. So we're going to move on and see if I can get this fixed in the meantime. So I'm going to start off with you, Clayton, and what questions or comments do you have for our sisters here?
Wow. After hearing those bios, it makes me so proud to know that our African American sisters are the highest demographic, educated people on the face of this earth. And when they say that, it really makes me proud. And listening to your bio, you sisters haven't missed a beat. You're covering the globe. You're covering all aspects and staying busy. And I don't know what to ask you other than just to say it makes my heart feel good. I know Sister Tammy, Reverend Tammy from Virginia State. I am also an alum of Virginia State University. And I came a little bit before Sister Tammy, and we walked that yard together. And Virginia State University pretty much raised me up from a 17-year-old boy to a man.
Yeah.
And the diversity that we had at that HBCU is unprecedented, unmatched. And Sister Tammy, I want to start with you first, being that I know a little bit about you from back in the day. What made you decide to become a woman of God, a pastor? Because I did not see that coming.
Here's the thing. You knew me then, but you know me now.
I do.
Amen. And so greetings to you, fellow men. Clayton, number one, I didn't sign up and say I'm going to be a preacher. I did that wasn't what my journey was. Trust me, when they say that gospel song, I've been running for Jesus for a mighty long time and I ain't got tired yet. That is my story. I was running, but I was running from it. I didn't want to, life happened. And when God wants you to do something, whatever God ordains, he sustains.
Yeah.
So he already had plans for me that I didn't know myself.
But
it all worked out. And it is one of the things Jeremiah 29 says, God says he knew you. I knew the hairs on your head before I knew you. So God already knew what he had planned for me. But it also, all of it led into what I do today. Ministry. And it also, it gives me the strength to serve in these different capacities in the land of swing. It gives me the wisdom also, because I always have to prepare myself. That's one of the reasons why I went to seminary. God called me to preach, but I went to seminary because as a woman in ministry and a woman in business, you want to have all the knowledge and all of the education that you need when you are talking about whatever it is. When I'm talking about God, I want people because people gonna fact check you. So I want them to be able to fact check me with confidence. So I went to Shaw to give me the confidence that I needed to stand flat-footed in the pulpit. And so when you got God on your side, all of the other things that I face, because life still is going to be lifing, as we say in church. Life still is going to be lifing, but it has empowered me to operate. My faith far operates my fear. So when I'm in the business that I do, and in all the works that I do, that is what carries me and what gets me through.
And that's absolutely the truth, because you doing God's work, it touches me, because the fact is there's times when I'm down and I need that word, I need that inspiration, that get up and go. And when Sister Rock send me that sermon and I see my name on that prayer list, I get touched. And I feel inspired, I feel energetic. I said, that's my sister talking to me. But God is talking through her to me. And I appreciate that you answered that call. And I'm going to leave it right there before I get emotional. But I really appreciate that, because, you know, that means a lot. Because you never know where a person is or what they're going through. And through my healing process, you gave me more hope than I needed. And I'm going to go to Sister Bettie, because I got more questions later on, Sister Tammy, Reverend Tammy. Sister Bettie.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. It's my pleasure to meet you. I think I may have met you before. I'm not sure.
Yes, I was on once before.
Yeah, I met quite a few sisters, so forgive me if I get you all mixed up.
It's okay.
I see from your resume, you have an extensive resume. And you deal with a lot of the holistic type of, I don't know if it's medicines or just counseling or abundance of all of it that put together. Could you share a little bit of that with us?
Sure, I'll be happy to. And I want to make sure that we have a big announcement to make tonight, but it's incorporating the things we're talking about. The holistic approach we take with our children, sometimes talk therapy isn't enough, especially working with young children. They don't always have a name for the emotions that they're feeling. So we can use art as a therapeutic modality to reach our children. So whether it's acting, Rocky, our Raleigh grad sister you mentioned earlier, she's done some work with us with acting and having children act out things. We've used print artists. I'll never forget, I had a 10-year-old that was in one of the art classes we offered, and she drew a picture. The artist told the children to write a poem and draw a picture. And when I was walking around the room, I stopped and looked at her picture, and it had the lights that you see on stage, those can lights. And I said, "Oh, your poem's about acting." And she said, "Read the poem." And when I read the poem, I said, "Well, tell me more about it." She said, one of my classmates was in a play. She was cast in a play. She didn't want to be in the play. So she thought if she went home and took her life, then that would let me be in the play in her place. So she had another 10-year-old that had been contemplating suicide at 10 years old. And so we know, we have data that proves that children, even younger than that, have had suicidal ideations. They thought about suicide. So we're doing a lot of work now. We want to be more involved. We're mothers, we're grandmothers, community leaders, churchgoers. So we want all of our chapters to become involved. And since Reverend Tammy is the Southeast Regional Director, she has the ability to galvanize 4 states, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. So we're getting ready to launch an initiative that she can share more with you about. But it's the crisis that our Black youth are in that has motivated all of us to do more. There's a report, and I recommend that your listeners Google it and pull it up and read it. It's called Ring the Alarm. Ring the Alarm. And it's about the crisis of Black youth suicide in America. Now, this is a report to Congress that the Congressional Black Caucus, the Congressional Black Caucus commissioned this, and they had an emergency task force. And this was a few years ago on Black youth suicide and mental health, because they realized that it was a growing, the data shows that it's an alarming increase in the suicide rates for Black children, and teenagers. And so they commissioned this report, and we have been working with it. I've been on a team, the North Carolina Black Youth Suicide Prevention Team, and we've been working on this for 2 years. And we've got the support of the state of North Carolina, and we tackle the crisis in 3 different ways. One of the ways is training. We make sure that community members, community leaders, clergy, gentlemen like yourselves, sisters like Tiffany, who are community leaders, who are thought leaders, that you have training so that you can understand when a child is in a mental health crisis. The training also tells you what to do, what to say to them, and then where to find the resources, the help that they need. It's no need for our children to be leaving us before they've even had a chance to live. And so we want to help people understand there's a difference if a child tells you that they're depressed, they've been depressed, and they feel like they don't belong here anymore. You really need to pay attention to that. We know that youth who are LGBTQI+, that they are really suffering, especially during this past year when so many supports for them have been removed because of the government. We know that a lot of children are being bullied, and they feel like often they have nowhere to go. There are children who have become victims of adults who prey on them by pretending that they're a teenager and asking for nude pictures. And then when they send the nude pictures to them, they threaten to show them to all of their family and friends and the whole school if they don't pay a ransom. And the kids can't afford it, of course. So there's lots of reasons, lots of things that our children are exposed to that put them in danger and has created this crisis that we find ourselves in. So in addition to training, we also offer gun locks. We distribute gun locks because guns are the most lethal form of when someone's ready to take their life. You can be rushed to the hospital if you've taken pills, and your stomach can be pumped, and I think they put charcoal in, and you can be saved. But usually if you use a gun, there's very little coming back from that. And we also distribute Narcan or naloxone, which is a drug that will counteract an overdose. And so we know that has saved a lot of lives too. So that's why Swing by Swing Social Fellowship, under the guidance of Reverend Tammy, we've decided that we want to work in this field and help get the word out and help do more, because one of our pillars is Empower Her Mind, which is a mental health focus that we have in Swing anyway. And I'll let Tammy share with you about the way we're launching this effort on March 28th at 10 o'clock here in Raleigh.
So to piggyback
Fantastic.
With Sister Bettie, however, there was a sister whose name was Dr. Gwen Keith Newsom, a proud licensed therapist in the area and throughout the fellowship. In July of 2023, we had just come back from our national convention, and actually we were a sister had caught COVID when we were in New Orleans, and that sister had passed away. So we had reached out to Gwen, being the licensed therapist among us, and Gwen had given us a counseling session. We had all gotten on a Zoom or on an 800 conference call number, I forget, but Gwen had offered us therapy. Well, while that sister was being funeralized, we all discovered that Gwen had died also, the therapist. So within a matter of 10 days, all of this stuff happened. And so Empower Her Mind is a national initiative that Swing by Swing Social Fellowship Incorporated does. And so I was hearing a lot of stuff and reading a lot of stuff, and I was trying to figure out what could Swing do. So I reached out to the brains behind the real operation, Sister Bettie Murchison. So I reached out to Bettie. And then when she and I and Sister Jewel, president of Raleigh Grad, when we had our first meeting, it was just with powerful minds coming together, powerful minds with resources and knowledge that could come together. So we are very excited throughout the Southeast region. We are very excited in Raleigh Grad because Gwen was one of our own. We are very excited in Raleigh because Gwen had such a large following, and the stuff that she done, this walks right in line with the initiative that Swing by Swing is following up. So we're playing so much stuff. We're still planning it. We're fine tuning it now. I'm gonna say, Betty, we're fine tuning it now. But it's been a lot to it, and what a wonderful way for us to honor, support the cause, the Empowering Her Minds, and we are in a crisis right now. And I'm assuring you, I don't know, Betty had faith. We're looking for sponsorships. If anybody has any out there knows of any, we're looking for sponsorships. Whatever contributions, whatever you can do to help us, we appreciate it.
And with yes, great. And with the launch, what we're doing is inviting sisters from all of the North Carolina chapters and brothers. We need our men there too. We need the fathers, the male role models in the community. One of the ways that we've been able to reach so many folks, and we've gotten a lot of publicity about it, is by going into the barbershops. We go into what we call safe spaces. We can't always get people to come to church for a program or come to a community center. So we take it to the streets, and we have been so successful. We have trained over 100 African-American barbers in youth mental health first aid. And because they're first responders, your barber is your confidant for most men, many young boys. They might be the first one to notice that your child has been acting differently or that they're withdrawn. And they may notice symptoms. Now they know what these symptoms mean. They know how to talk to the child or the adult, to ask questions. So we've been, Raleigh Grad has done those programs at barbershops and beauty shops and lock stations. So we are going where people are at and taking the gun locks, the Narcan, the information we want people to know. So Tammy's invited all the chapters in North Carolina. That will be our first rollout. And then when we go to regional is in Charleston, South Carolina in April, then South Carolina will be the next state, and then on to Georgia and Florida. So it's a continuous rollout. But there's no reason that you brothers, if you want to get involved, we've also created a manual with resources in it, including a how-to guide. How do you get started? Where do you find gun locks? Where do you get free Narcan? All of these resources are out there for us, and it's an initiative that all of us can get behind, because we're not trying to take anyone's gun. We're saying you got your weapon, but do you realize that your child is more likely to get your weapon and harm themselves than you are to shoot an intruder? And we've had several cases here in Durham and Raleigh where 5-year-old children found their mother's gun and shot and killed themselves. We had 2 in, I think, November, December, right? And a young man is on trial right now in Raleigh, a young white boy who shot 5 and killed 5 people in the Hedingham community here because he was angry. He was 15 years old, I think, when he did it. And they had a whole arsenal of weapons at their home. So if you know you have a child who's out of control or hearing voices or whatever, lock up your weapons. And we do provide a training for that. It's called calm training. So we're trying to do all we can to get the word out and to make sure that people are aware and that we get them the resources they need.
Fantastic. Hey, you touched on my next question, but I want you or Reverend Tammy to tell the audience who's listening, what are some of the symptoms to look out for when you see a child in trouble or acting out, or you think that that may happen? What are we looking for as an adult?
Well, you just hit upon some of the things. If a child, if their behavior has changed, if they become really withdrawn, they were a happy child at one time, they become withdrawn, or they were a quiet child and all of a sudden now they're talking. If you notice behavior, we know our children better than anyone else. You need to find out what's going on. Is there a problem at school? Are you being bullied? I was bullied on the bus when I was going to school. There was a guy on there and he was just terrible. But I was afraid to tell my father because my daddy had a gun. It didn't have a lock on it. And I didn't want him to kill the kid, but I did want him to stop bugging me. But, I never once thought about suicide. But I think kids now, because of the internet, they can harass you online. I was talking to another friend just today who had to get a restraining order because their child was being harassed. And so people have access to our children through games. You've heard stories of kids being singled out through the Roblox and some of the other games. My youngest is 38, so I don't know all of the video games and things that kids use now, but I know they can be dangerous, and people are finding young kids that way, and they don't know what to do. They don't know who to talk to. So making sure that your child or grandchild knows they can come to you and talk to you about anything, that is such a relief, because once that's the case, I can remember when I was running a community center at one time, and my daughter and her friends, I would give them all rides home at night. And there's something about being in a car and it being dark, and I can't turn around. I'm holding the wheel. I can't turn around and look at them in the face. And I would hear all kinds of stories and things that would come out. And I wouldn't say anything. I would just listen. So sometimes if we don't shut them down and start, beating them up about why did you do this? Why don't you do that? If we just listen, it will bring remarkable things. And get help. If it's beyond the scope of what you know to do, don't feel ashamed getting help. One of the statistics I was just looking at, 63% of African Americans believe that depression is a personal sign of weakness. And then 56% of African Americans believe depression is a normal sign of aging. So if we're noticing that people are depressed, but we're just shooing it off as being normal or being a sign of weakness, we can't help each other, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's been prevalent in our culture for a while, that people stayed away from getting the help they needed because, if I do that, some people are going to think that I'm crazy.
Yes.
And, that's stigma in place. And so now, like you said, it's been normalized to that it's more accepted than addressing. My question goes to this. My other vocation, so to speak, for lack of a better phrase, I'm a financial advisor of sorts, right? Stockbroker, former stockbroker. And I used to go to schools and I used to give workshops, and middle school, high school, even elementary schools, I would go and talk to them. Also, I would have workshops in churches. Your program, have you gone to churches to do your program, and also the middle school, and are they receptive?
Well, getting in the school system here in Wake County is very difficult. They don't. It's very hard to do. So we targeted the coaches because we were like, and we try to have some of our workshops on teacher work days so we can at least train the teachers. But some ministers are approachable and interested, and some just believe you can pray away mental illness, and they wouldn't tell you to pray away a heart attack or high blood pressure or a broken arm. But if your brain is, which is also a part of your body, if your brain isn't functioning well or you're depressed, they don't see that the same. And I'm gonna stop there and let Reverend Tammy speak to that, because I know she's not that way, but I'm sure she knows the reasons that some clergy may be.
Well, all I can say is, listen, old school preachers are still going to preach in old school ways. However, many churches that I'm affiliated with, and ministers and preachers that I know, they are all pushing mental health. Everything comes out of mental health, because listen, we know that people come to go to church for many different reasons, but the preacher, now we are leading people. They got all kinds of pocket ministries for the mental health ministries for the youth, mental health counseling for married couples, mental health counsels for divorce, mental health for infertility, if you will. All kinds of ministers in church. So there are some preachers though that still believe in, God will take everything away, but take your Wellbutrin, take your other drug, and still pray. But I do believe that God leads, He puts these therapists when God wants to bless you, He doesn't bless you with a car or a house, He bless you with people. So when sometimes God will put people around you that's going to lead you and tell you to go to therapy. So it's the trust that you have in the relationships with the people that you want to try to get them to understand the importance of mental health. Everybody has a resource, and everybody's got somebody that they know might just need somebody to talk to. They might not have a diagnosis, but they simply might just need somebody to talk it out. Everybody's not a swing or a groove. Everybody doesn't have a fellowship that they can go to. Everybody doesn't have a church that they can go to. There has to be some resources out there, and that we have, and I said it last week, we have no wrong door. If you come to us, if you have a child, if you have an 80-year-old, because sometimes, listen, some people get a diagnosis on site. It doesn't happen when they're young. It happens later on in life. Some of these things, and we were talking about depressions does happen to senior citizens. It does happen, but it doesn't mean that it has to make us have to shoot our heads off. It means that we need to have some type of guidance, somebody to give us the wisdom, the right resources in place. And that's what our foundation will offer. It will offer you all kinds of resources. It will tell you it's okay to have a gun, but here are the things that you need to have in place to protect the safety of others and yourself when you have a gun. That's right. What I love about it, because we have so much teaching. Like, did you really know, Clayton, you military, you retired military. Yes. Did you know there was a thing called mental health first aid?
Mental health, excuse me?
Mental health first aid.
At that
Never
time,
heard of
they
it.
didn't call it that. No.
See, mental health first aid. This is what these are some of the components and the assets and the resources that we have in our foundation. There is a thing called mental health first aid.
Yeah. And they're starting to touch base on that throughout the military now, because they see that it's needed.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason why at the beginning of this segment, I had to thank you for what you did for me, because you didn't know. Yeah, I was going through some depression. I was going through some what ifs and how I was feeling at that time. But through your word that you were sending me, you didn't know that was a healing for me. Amen. And that's the reason why I had to thank you for that. And it's like you just mentioned, everybody don't have a fellowship or sisterhood to turn to, But those little things that you put out there, even as minute as some people may think it is, it could be what that person needed at that time to get them out of that mess that it was wallowing in. So I thank you all for being an avenue for me. My brother, my oldest brother, which William is my oldest brother as well, is also my groove brother. I can always go to him and we'll have the deepest conversations. He don't know what I'm going through all the time, but I do share it with him. And being my oldest brother, he's been around the world. He's been on this earth longer than I have. So he's got something to share. And he listens to me as well. So I think we keep each other intact. So I appreciate what you all are doing. And I will bring this back to some of our brothers that are not listening and see what we can do to help you all along the way. Not just you all, but the communities.
One of the statistics that I've learned is that we lose about 4 veterans a day to suicide.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is very real. It is a very challenging aspect, and this one of our partners is the VA. They will provide locks, and they also provide training. I took they call it the CALM system, and that's the training is how do you talk someone out of how do you take the guns or get someone you love who's in danger to give up the weapons they have in their house. And it was taught by a veteran, and I was sitting beside a veteran in the class, and I learned so much about the mindset of veterans and why it's a challenge to get them to give up. We had to play out scenarios on what we would do. Matter of fact, I became a trainer with CALM, but it is something that we should all want to help, because you guys are folks who put your life on the line for us, and we need to respect that and to do all we can to be supportive as you're going through things. So I just want to thank you for your service, and to
You're
let
more
you
than
know
welcome, sister.
that we really do care about veterans. This training, the work we're doing is for the whole family. And CALM, by the way, if you want to look it up, it stands for Counseling on Access to Lethal Means. Counseling on Access to Lethal Means. And that's the whole purpose of the training. And it can be done. There's a long version, there's a short version. We can do it in 90 minutes, 2 hours. I highly recommend that. Especially for our brothers, because you may know another brother who's in trouble, who's not in the right mindset, whether it's divorce or sickness or, whatever, death in the family. It's very important that you go and help get him or her to relinquish any weapons they have in the house until their mind is in a better place again.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I'm pretty sure my sister Tiffany, she's got something she wants to share or ask.
Let's see here. I do. My question to you, Sister Betty, is the name of your corporation, WEB Du Bois Community Development Corporation. Can you tell the people how did you come up with that name?
Oh, wow. Well, that was the nonprofit I formerly ran. It's not in existence anymore. But the name of the high school I went to, the segregated high school, was the Du Bois High School. And so we still wanted to honor the legacy of Dr. W.B. Du Bois. So when the Alumni Association purchased the campus, the school shut down, school system shut down the Black campus after a few years and built a new school for children on another side of town, of course. And so we purchased, it was 8 buildings on 11 acres. and we named it the Du Bois Center. And then after I left there, I started the W.E.B. Du Bois Community Development Corporation. But it definitely was to honor Dr. Du Bois, who was a trailblazer. And Oasis Health and Wellness Centers, which is the one, my private corporation that I have founded, and I try to carry on the legacy and some of the things that we did there. Dr. Du Bois was a champion of education, so everything we do has an educational component to it.
You know, I find that that is so interesting that we're talking about this topic, mental health, right now. Especially because, for one, this is Black History Month, and with what has taken place in recent news, if you guys have watched, you know, with the meme and the what was posted, I think there is a slight correlation, you know what I'm saying, to that, to mental health and to what has happened. I think as a people, for a majority of the whole, we are in a better place mentally compared to what were, maybe you all may disagree, compared to how things were 40 years ago. What is your take on what has happened? I know it's kind of a little left field here, but what is your take on what has happened recently, and in regards to tying it to one's mental health? I guess Sister Tammy can answer that one.
When you're saying what you mean, just the events of the country and things because the country is in a crazy state. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So, are we protecting our mental health during this time? What are we doing to protect our mental health? Yeah, I'm gonna attack it from that standpoint, because yes, and during this season, everybody needs to be protecting their mental health. I say, listen, work out more, and sometimes just breathe. There's nothing wrong with tuning everything out. No social media. I just got off a whole fast. I didn't look at I don't look at the news. I depend on somebody else to tell me what's going on. However, for your mental capacity, you have to be the judge of that. Know how much you can watch before your anxiety level goes up. Okay. Have quiet time for yourself. Always take 15 minutes a day. And you know, I am a preacher first and foremost. So listen, pray more, increase your prayer life. If you don't know God, try to get to know him during this season.
Yes.
Try to get to know him, because he is a friend indeed. But also ask God to give you the strength to make it through this season. Your strength might come from Bettie Murchison. It might come from me. Clayton just said I was able to give him some encouragement. Use the resources within your own circle. When I first became the regional director, sister founder Roz Tandy called me, and she said, Tammy, what are you going to do for mental health for Swing? That's a true story. I had no idea what I was going to do, but you know what? The first thing I did is what I always do. I prayed and I asked God. And I went to Bettie, who could give me some resources and give me some guidance. Never be ashamed when you lack that knowledge. The smart thing is knowing where to go and get the knowledge and the supports that you need. Don't be ashamed in this season to ask for supports. Ask for supports. I might not have all the answers, but I'm a resourcer. I can find somebody else to help you with the answer. Don't be ashamed if you say, listen, do you know, especially people in my age category, do you know how many people are saying, this whole thing is just driving me crazy? People are worried. People are scared. Okay. People are afraid to enroll their children in college for lack. And, you know, people are afraid to come outside. Some people of different nationalities. It's a scary time. So yeah, mental illness is on an all-time rise. We see it from the top.
That's right.
We see it, and we see it at every level. Imagine I went to church on Sunday, and the pastor said, he said, I'm going to do something. I don't know how y'all going to take this, but I'm going to pray for the president. We listen, it all starts at the top. Imagine those people that have jobs in the government used to be a safe place, right? It used to be a safe place to work.
Right.
People with government jobs now don't feel safe. That's anxiety. They bringing all of that home to their wife, to their husbands, to their children. So now is now you're right, Tiffany. So now is the time for us to be shouting this message louder than ever. Take care of your mind. Take care of your mental health. It's nothing wrong with going to therapy. It's nothing wrong with calling somebody. It's nothing wrong with just talking to somebody that you know that might be a therapist, that might just be a friend. Talk to somebody.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely, I just thought about that because we know that we celebrate February as Black History Month, and it's also known as the month of love. And it's kind of hard to do that sometimes when your mental health or your mental capacity is at such a point where you're kind of torn. You know what I'm saying? Some people may feel torn because of what they're seeing that's happening around them versus going beyond what you see, and that's that faith walk. That's that faith talk right there, because faith is the evidence of things hoped for. Faith, faith is what we can't see. And so I'm glad that you had said, take some time first for yourself. You got to start there first before you can branch out to anybody else. You got to start with you first, and then work your way outwards. And then, pray to God, ask him for guidance and discernment. That's very important, because your discernment and your mental can probably contradict. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's very important, but I'm glad that you had touched on that. Thank you for that.
It's important. I think this programs like these, and especially this one, is very, very important. And I'm going to share something with the panel here. Reverend Tam, well, Betty, you've been on before. Reverend Tam was on last week, and she had been on once before. After the program last week, I was talking to someone on the phone about how I thoroughly enjoyed you, Reverend Tam, and it was Dr. Harris on at the same time. I thought that was a enlightening program. I was enlightened by it. I was encouraged by it, and I love doing this. And I just want you, Betty, to know, you always have a platform here to get your message out. Okay.
Thank you.
Anytime you want to come, I have some other platforms besides Group Swing Speaks that are also talk shows, and we talk about things like these. These are things that are vitally important. I do music shows. Yes, I love my music, but let's get down to let's talk about mental health. And I just love this. And so I was talking about the program, and I think I was talking to Robert after. I said, man, what a great, great program. And I started talking about the different aspects that we took, the takeaways that I got from the program. And somebody who's very, very near and dear to me stopped. I could see someone out of the corner of my eye stopping and listening to every word. And boy, it was my grandson. And he and I had a conversation afterwards, and he was telling me how important mental health is to him, only to find out that he was struggling himself. Right here in my own backyard. He was struggling, but he's an introvert, very, very smart, intelligent, really nice person. But I had no idea that he was struggling. I had mentioned to him before, and I always ask him, what's going on? You can talk to me about anything, but this is something, and perhaps both of you can answer this. Why is it that some people who's going through things like that, some of our young, they don't talk to us about it, or they don't open up about it? What are some of the reasons you think that they keep this in? Either one first. Betty?
Well, one of the reasons can be, especially with young boys. We've set an example of a very masculine, macho kind of lifestyle for our young boys. You know, we just got through Super Bowl weekend, and you know the macho athletes, the ones who the MVP and the ones who won, and you know we tend to hold that up as the model. And if a boy feels any sign of weakness or cry, I used to tell my son, "It's nothing wrong with crying. It's don't feel like because you're a young man you can't shed tears." So part of it is the model that we raise boys under in this community, that they feel like they have to be masculine and all of the things that go with masculinity. And so getting them to open up and asking open-ended questions. If you just ask yes, no question, did you have a good day? Yes. Everything all right at school? Yes. You got to figure out open-ended questions. You know, what was the best part of your day today? What was the worst part? You know, asking questions that require something more than a yes and a no, and you'd be surprised
Absolutely.
at them opening it up.
And think about it, children.
You want to add something, Tammy?
Yeah, you can understand that if a child said, "Okay, I got strep throat," or a child said, "You know, I got chicken pox," or something like that. A child is not going to come to somebody and say, they don't know. I don't think they have the language. Sometimes they just don't have the language to articulate their feelings. They don't. They don't know how to express that. And so I think, Brother William, you were doing a great job when you said, you know, keep that line of communication open. Yes. And you know that's the best medicine that you can give right there. Keep that line of communication open too, and let them know what Sister Betty said in support of that. Also, let them see the vulnerable side of you. You are like you grandpa, you papa, but also you're human. You got feelings too. And let them know it's okay to have feelings.
Yes.
It's okay.
And talking about your own experiences when you were growing up, the things that happened to you that were harmful or hurtful. And, you know, they can say, "Oh, well, you were young one time too, huh?" And I think, you know,
yes, because they don't
think that. I was putting together pictures for an ad for the regional, and one of my line sisters sent me a picture of me when I was online, and I sent it to my two daughters and my sister, and they could not believe I had on a short skirt. But you know, this was 1973. But also making sure you enroll them in things other than sports. Get them into the arts. Maybe, you know, not every kid wants to be a ball player. You know, sensitive kids, very intelligent kids, they might want to do something different. Find out what their likes are. I just gave my youngest daughter guitar lessons for Christmas because she had a guitar she bought years ago and never played it. And it's a music store opened up near the mall. And so I gifted her guitar lessons because music really is good for everybody. It is, as you just said, you know, that's what I do to kind of when I need to get my mind straight. When I'm tired of looking at the news, I'll get in the car and cut my radio up loud to some old school R&B, and I'm driving down the road jamming and enjoying myself, you know, just having a great time. I've also enjoyed watching the monks. I went here in Raleigh to meet them when they came through, and then I've been following their journey online, and that brings me great peace because I think about these men who have sacrificed so much, and they're in DC now, and even in DC there's ice and snow, and when they came through here we had the worst weather we had, but they're so convicted for what they're doing, and that gives me great hope for the future. But yes, please keep that line of communication open and make sure that he's got the resources around him to help him with his social emotional learning. That's something we think about their book learning, but their social emotional learning is just as important.
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking about it. I said, well, I'm here and this program goes all over the world. So I'm talking to people and trying to get information out through resources like you, two ladies and others, to get out to the world. And I didn't realize that I had some issues, or my grandson was going through issues right here. I said, wow. So I guess you can understand how I felt
Sure.
about that. I said, whoa. Because a lot of times, you know, we don't pay attention to what's going on right in front of us,
Yes.
you know, and we're
Yeah.
reaching out all over the place, you know.
That's right.
But,
That's
you know, I
right.
read this book a long time ago called Acres of Diamonds, and I'm not going to get into it, but they found diamonds in their own backyard, but they were looking
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else for a whole
Mm-hmm.
different story, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, I appreciate everything that you ladies are doing. I think it's vitally important, and it's something it's not even talked about. I saw a clip today that really touched me, and it was something about our children that have been detained by ICE. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
children as young as
Mm-hmm.
under 5 years old, up to
Mm-hmm.
teenagers. And so I want both of you to address that. If this is not addressed, rather, what are some of the lasting effects it might have, or depression, or this could have on our children? What kind of negative impact would it have with them psychologically, as far as mental health is concerned?
It can lead to overeating, to drug abuse, to suicidal ideation. They sometimes they will become domestic violence is very prevalent, and a lot of times they die an early death. If you haven't checked out uh, there is a let me find the name of it. There's a tool we use called ACEs, ACES, and you can Google it and find it online. But it was a study done by Kaiser Permanente, and they were trying to find out why some people wound up with poor quality health and others didn't. And there are 10 questions that you ask that they ask, and you score those 10 questions, and it will give you the likelihood that you're going to have early death, you're going to be overweight, you're going to use drugs. If you saw certain things as you grew up, if you lived in a house where there was domestic violence, if you lived in a house where people abuse drugs or alcohol, and so our destiny is sometimes set for us without us having anything to do with it. Your environment can impact your health years down the road. So it's a fascinating study. But yeah, you just go online and Google ACEs, and you can see the 10 questions. You can answer them yourself, and you can read the results from it.
Okay. So what you're saying, if I understood you correctly, there's a direct correlation between your mental health and your physical health.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Reverend Tam, we've got 1 minute. Your word. What would you like to share with the audience? Maybe something you want to share, and we feel to ask.
Take care of your mental health. Our program and our initiative is a good training grounds for if you have any questions. We will have resources available to you to help you through that. Listen, feel free to reach out if you have any suspect or if you feel any kind of anxiety that you feel is uncontrollable. Don't take chances with it. Don't wait too long. Please seek help.
And
Betty,
I put an
a
email
question.
address. Yeah, I put an email address where people can reach us. It's gknswingphd@gmail.com. Please reach out to us. We could put you, no matter where you are in the country, we could put you we could put you in touch with help. And if you remember nothing else, remember 988. 988 is the suicide hotline. You can call for someone else. You can call and say, I have a sister, I have a friend, and what do I do? And they have therapists on call 24/7.
Got a quick question for both of you. Now, your event is coming up on the 28th of, you have an event coming up on the 28th of March, right?
That's right.
Do you have a flyer available? Because what I like to do over the next several weeks is to announce it, put the word out there through my radio broadcast and also on my social media pages. Do you have a flyer that we could use?
We'll make sure you get one.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes,
We'd love
Thank
to do
you
that.
for that. Thank
Okay.
you.
No, my pleasure. And also, I have I have another host that's on Saturday mornings. Both of you would love her. Would it be okay if I gave her your contact information
Yes.
so you can appear on her show?
Thank you. So
Well,
much.
good. All right, good. Thank you. Clayton and Tiffany, thank you. Do you have any last or final word for our guests?
You're on mute,
Tiffany, you might.
Sorry about that. Not necessarily for the guests. I do want to say thank you, ladies, for coming out and sharing your expertise with us in the audience tonight. But because this is Black History Month, I did want to just share a little Black History fact. Since we are talking about mental health, I just pulled up some people that were known for working with the mental health, people such as Dr. Francis Cecile Summer, who is the father of Black psychology, Dr. Mamie Phipps Clark, she's famous for the doll study, and advocate B.B. Moore Campbell. These people dealt with mental health and psychology. So that's just a little Black history flip for you.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. What I'm going to put on the screen right now, this is 988. Betty, would you tell the audience what is that? What is 988? That's the hotline?
988. Yes, 988 is the suicide hotline. They don't trace your call. What they'll do is when you call the line, they'll connect you to the nearest 988 center in wherever you're calling from. So whether you're in Virginia or California, but this is a national suicide hotline. Call, get help. There's help waiting for you. And they will connect you to, if you're LGBTQI, they got a way to connect you to that. If you can ask for a female or a male. I mean, they will do all they can to help you get the resource you need at that moment.
Outstanding. Ladies, outstanding
Yes.
as usual. I want to thank you again for coming on our program. And please share the word. We were having some problems on Facebook Live, but you can find it on YouTube under Studio W The Buzz. And I'll go back and listen to the program again as I did last week. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Enjoy your Tuesday.
Thank you, sisters.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night.
Groove is an international nonprofit organization dedicated to community service and mentoring and heightening community and cultural awareness. Founded at Morgan State College in 1962 by purposeful, disciplined revolutionaries. This non-Greek brotherhood prides itself on being conscious men of service and collective action, working with all individuals and organizations who are interested in empowering others. Today, the Social Fellowship has over 60,000 members and 150 chapters. For more information about Groove 5 Groove, please go to www.groove5groove.org or send an email to membership@g5g.org. Oh, and by the way, if you know a conscious sister looking for an alternative to the traditional establishment, please refer her to www.swingbyswing.org.